The idea of a pirate alliance is a bold strategy which can at times backfire. The main topic today will be the Straw Hat and Heart Pirates alliance and whether or not it's run its course. Upon thinking of this alliance initially, it wasn't as clear how Luffy reacted to meeting Law for the first time on Punk Hazard, but obviously this was not the first time these two had met, and the foundation for this alliance had started long before. This alliance, you could say, was inevitable due to things that transpired at Sabaody and Marineford. At Sabaody, in the human auction house, we meet Law, a pirate from the North Blue, and a supernova in the same class as Luffy along with Kid, which we'll touch on his alliance a bit later. Law's interest in Luffy started in this auction house. Hachi, being a free fisherman in an auction house that sold species of his kind, was somewhat taboo. I suppose he was being racially profiled in an auction house just for being a fisherman. Hachi is then shot by the celestial dragon Charlos, and Luffy, being Luffy, proceeds to do what one absolutely should not do in the One Piece world. He physically harms a celestial dragon. The reason why this act by Luffy is somewhat astonishing and the likes of Kid was shocked is due to what the possible consequences could be. If you attack a celestial dragon, an admiral would be coming after you. Luffy obviously didn't care, but this impressed not only Law, but Kid as well. So Luffy, with his actions, somewhat pulled Kid and Law into his fight. This of course led to Luffy, Law, and Kid versus the Marines, and somewhat made fans single out these three as the most powerful of the supernova. Of course, opinions on that matter may differ now, but regardless, Luffy also takes this opportunity to let those two know that he's going to be the one to find the One Piece. Now, we know of Law's past and what he went through with Doflamingo and Corazon, and the One Piece really isn't his goal. There will be more than likely, but not necessarily One Piece. Kid's true goal remains a mystery. Also, what exactly was the catalyst for his actions? We do not yet know. Of course, since then, we've seen Law several times in the story with the Straw Hat. The first instance is Law saving Luffy at Marineford. Luffy, after being battered in the War of the Best, at that point had lost Ace and was attacked by Akainu. Of course, the greater danger to his life was the fact that through the use of Ivankov's hormones, Luffy had gone well past his limit and was on the verge of death. Law, being the surgeon of death, was the most apt for this task and took this opportunity to save Luffy's life. The context Law gives about saving Luffy's life is simply that they have a bond, and Luffy dying would make things boring. There have been several theories made as to the reason why Law saved Luffy, and it's ranged from because they're both Ds to Law wanting Luffy to owe him so that this alliance could happen in the future. I'm more inclined to believe the bond of being a D rather than Law having the foresight to do something like this to have Luffy in his debt. Upon being asked, because he was asked about it, Law attributes it to being a spur of the moment thing. 2 years later, enter Punk Hazard. Law, upon being greeted by Smoker, apparently the world government viewed the three rookies as allies for how they fought together at Sabaody. By saving Luffy, Law was now a known associate of his. Even with that, he does attack the Straw Hats initially upon meeting them, but I think that was due to being annoyed at how they interrupted him and Smoker. He didn't even use a legitimate attack, he just switched their souls. A somewhat insane casual statement. I think that speaks to how destructive and how crazy his devil fruit is. Law did end up saving them from the Yeti Cool brothers, but another chance meeting got Law thinking. An interesting thought that just occurred to me. Caesar's actions that reminded him of none other than Doflamingo drove Law to make this decision as well. He said that you remind me, or you're as crazy as that man. After that point, he was noticeably annoyed and attacked soldiers for just asking where he was going. Law proposes this alliance. Of course, the Straw Hats, not knowing all of the history between Luffy and Law, they would question it. Luffy obviously accepts, and there officially starts the alliance between the Straw Hat Pirates and the Heart Pirates. Now, while a pirate alliance can lead to results, Robin made Luffy aware of the risks. Robin does not object, but does let Luffy know that pirate alliances more than likely end in betrayal. We can take a look at other alliances and how they ended. First off, Vanderdecken and Hody Jones. Once that had run its course, it ended in betrayal. The Kid, Apu, and Hawkins alliance. We're not sure exactly what happened once Kaido appeared. However, using context clues such as Hawkins and Apu now working for Kaido, while Kid is locked in a cage, he was betrayed by both captains. Now, thinking back to Law's initial offer to Luffy, he mentions working under Yonko or allying are the only options for the New World. Interestingly enough, the main three have not allied and is actively trying to take down a Yonko. Luffy, being Luffy, then asks Law if he will betray them, in which Law says no. What's even funnier is that Law did not account for the Straw Hats and their interesting personalities. Luffy didn't operate on the same wavelength as Law. Law was tactical and procedural. Luffy was all about improvisation. The goal was to take down the Yonko, but Law wasn't as forthcoming. Luffy didn't care who it was as long as Shanks wasn't first, but the Yonko that they were to take down was Kaido. Law's plan initially had a 30% 50% chance of succeeding. However, Luffy didn't care because he had planned on taking down all of them. The Luffy-Law alliance, from Luffy's perspective at least, was about friendship, which I'm sure Law did not expect. During the alliance, things were mostly handled the way the Straw Hats operated, which was somewhat planned and mostly improvisation. Law, whilst being annoyed at moments, went along with it and even praised the captain for how he went about things, and the crew. Law did leave the alliance in Dressrosa, but was somewhat forced back in by Luffy, which makes the alliance feel, again, more so like a friendship. This alliance has been pretty damn successful by taking down Doflamingo, Caesar, and even gone further to somewhat reluctantly enter into an alliance with the Minks and the Samurai of Wano. Still, at this point, Luffy has no idea how alliances work. The alliance now in Wano, with the goal being taking down Kaido and opening the borders of Wano, Law has been a bit on edge. The plan was to remain inconspicuous to carry out the raid, but Luffy, after thinking his friends had been eradicated by Kaido, shows himself, essentially going away from the plan. Luffy is captured and the others must navigate through this plan without him. The alliance is now in shambles, and this is mostly due to the secret crest that had only been known to the members was leaked, and Law's crewmates were blamed by Shinobu as the culprits. Law would obviously take major offense to this and ultimately has left the alliance based on his words. Trust in his crew is paramount, as upon arrival to Zou, he mentions Beppo to be extremely trustworthy, having been with him over 10 years. That's longer than Luffy's been with his crew. So in One Piece chapter 940, when Shinobu attacks the character of Law's crew, the dialogue does speak volumes. He mentions not to forget they doubted the loyalty of his crew. If we can't trust each other in moments like this, then I can't expect to entrust my safety to you when the fighting is fierce. Law has ultimate trust and respect in the Straw Hat crew. This is evident. The main cog in his plan and the main thing causing the issue is a ninja from the alliance who quite frankly hasn't proven anything to Law. Nami actually pointed out that Shinobu was actually bad at her job. To add insult to injury, of course we know Yasu isn't a bad person now and would actually help their cause, but before they knew that, they went and ran their mouths to someone they had no idea who he was. Law isn't going to leave the alliance altogether, but this may be a telling sign when things get going. Law's betrayal of Luffy has been a topic ever since the alliance began, in Robin's words. However, this alliance has blossomed into a friendship. Once Kaido has fallen, Law may take some spoils, possibly a poneglyph rubbing, to fulfill his dream of learning more about the will of D. But for the moment, I still believe in the alliance. But I think by the end of this arc, Law and Luffy may have to go their separate ways. Currently, their goals align, but after taking down Kaido, what happens next? Is there a scenario in which Law and Luffy can actually coexist with Law being under Luffy? Personally, I think Law's prestige as a pirate would not allow him to do that, and it's just not a good look for Law overall as a pirate. Like I said, Law has his own goals, and Luffy, with his aspirations to become Pirate King, Law would not get in the way of that, but I can't see Law being an underling of Luffy. Law is simply just too powerful. There's no way that Law and Luffy can coexist on the same crew without Luffy's crew being somewhat overpowered. Luffy already has Zoro, Sanji, and we're presuming Jinbei, and if he adds Law even as a ally, when I say ally, I mean part of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, that would be overkill. As far as we know, Kid doesn't have anyone, and the other people competing are non-existent. Law, while working with Luffy extensively, he's one of the pirates we view as a rival of Luffy. Again, I do not see betrayal, but I see Law going his own way to do his own thing his way. There's only so much of the Straw Hats he can take, and I think this arc is showing that very clearly. Based off what we know about Law now, there's no conceivable way that I can think of in which Law could betray the Straw Hats. Other than the poneglyph rubbing, I don't see Law taking anything or actually hurting Luffy to get away. Kidnapping Robin was somewhat foreshadowed in Zou, but however, that's not something Law would do either. The perfect pirate alliance that I've seen in the story with the Straw Hats has been with the Fire Tank Pirates and Capone. With this alliance, they didn't accomplish their goal of taking down Big Mom. However, Luffy did gain a lot of achievements because of their efforts. Luffy was somewhat declared the 5th Yonko by Big News Morgans, and this was mainly because of his alliance with Capone. It did not end in betrayal, and they grew somewhat fond of each other. Chiffon did not want to leave them behind. Going forward, I don't see Capone Gang Beige trying to kill Luffy. However, he will not take it easy, as Capone is a true mafioso. Another alliance that you can say went well, this does not include the Straw Hats, but it would be the Buggy Alvida Pirates. The thing with the Buggy Pirates and the Alvida Pirates is that they operated on the same wavelength, and even at this point, Buggy and Alvida is still working together. A key point I forgot to mention about pirate alliances is that as a Shichibukai or a warlord, you are not allowed to ally with actual pirates that are not protected by the world government. So for Law, when the world government found out that Law was actually allied with the Straw Hat Pirates, he lost his status as a Shichibukai. One could understand understand for obvious reasons why the world government would not want to protect a pirate that is allied with their pirates, as that could create problems not only visually and for the public, but also logistically. With the pirate that is signed on as a warlord, they have a specific set of rules that they have to follow, but for an allied pirate, they're not actually a Shichibukai, so they can do whatever they want with the protection of the world government. It presents such a gray area that I would understand why the world government would not allow that. Leave your thoughts below. Let me know how you feel about the Luffy-Law alliance. Has it run its course, or would you like for Luffy and Law to stay together? As always, be sure to like the video and subscribe if you would like to become a patron to vote on videos like this. Please check out the link below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you later. Peace.